You know that moment when a friend asks, "I need a laptop that can handle my school projects, some work reports, and the occasional game night, but I don't want to break the bank or lug around a desktop?" I've been there, scrolling through endless specs, trying to picture whether a machine will actually keep up when you're switching from a Zoom call to a multiplayer match. The fear of spending a good chunk of cash on something that throttles under load or dies the moment you need it most is real. That's why I dug into the Lenovo 2026 Premium Business and Student Laptop before I hit the record button. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about the kind of person who will get the most out of this 15.6-inch touchscreen. If you're a college student juggling research papers, spreadsheets, and video editing assignments, the 13th-gen Intel Core i5-1335U paired with 16 GB of RAM feels surprisingly fluid. I ran a few typical student workflows, opening a 30-page PDF, pulling data into Excel, then launching a web browser with a dozen tabs. The system switched between them without the stutter you sometimes see on older mid-range chips. For business users who need to jump into PowerPoint, Teams, and a few Chrome windows at the same time, that same multitasking experience holds up. Now, the gaming angle. This isn't a dedicated gaming rig, but the integrated graphics that come with the i5-1335U are capable of handling indie titles, strategy games, and older AAA games at medium settings. I fired up Stardew Valley and Civilization VI for an hour each, and the frame rates stayed in the 5060 frames per second range, which is perfectly playable on the 1080p touchscreen. When I pushed a more demanding title like Fortnite at 1080p, the laptop hovered around the low mid-30s after tweaking the settings down. That's not going to satisfy a hardcore sports fan, but for a casual player who just wants to unwind after a long lecture, it's adequate. Heat and fan noise become the next talking point because sustained performance is where many thin and light laptops stumble. During those 2-hour gaming sessions, the chassis warmed up noticeably, especially around the palm rests. The fans kicked in at a low hum initially, then rose to a louder whir when the GPU workload peaked. It wasn't deafening, but you could definitely hear it in a quiet room. After about 45 minutes of continuous play, the temperature settled into the low 80s C range, which is safe, but tells you the cooling solution is more about keeping the machine usable than pushing it to the limit. If you plan on long marathon gaming sessions, you'll probably want a cooling pad. Keyboard feel is something you notice right away. Lenovo kept the classic chiclet layout, but the keys have a slightly softer travel than you'd find on a gaming laptop with mechanical switches. For typing essays or coding, the tactile feedback is pleasant enough, and the backlighting helps in dim dorm rooms. However, if you're used to the clicky snap of a mechanical board for competitive gaming, you might feel the difference. The trackpad is roomy and responsive, which is a plus when you're switching between touch gestures and mouse clicks during presentations. Battery life is often the make-or-break factor for students and traveling professionals. Lenovo advertises all-day battery, and in a realistic test working on a Word document, streaming a lecture, and checking email intermittently, the laptop lasted about 9 hours before needing a top-up. At a gaming session, and you're looking at roughly 5 to 6 hours of mixed use. The 500 GB external HDD is a nice bonus for offloading larger media files without filling up the internal SSD, though you'll need to carry the extra drive if you truly rely on that storage. Portability is where this model shines. At just under 4 pounds and a slim profile, it slides into a standard backpack without making you feel like you're hauling a brick. The touchscreen adds a layer of flexibility for note-taking or sketching diagrams in class, and the privacy shutter on the webcam is a thoughtful security feature that many students appreciate these days. Now, let's weigh the price against what you get. Compared to a desktop that could run the latest AAA games at high settings, this laptop is clearly not in the same league. A mid-range gaming desktop with a dedicated GPU would outperform it in raw frames per second, and you could upgrade components more easily. But the trade-off is mobility if you need a machine that can go from a library to a coffee shop to a dorm room. The Lenovo 2026 delivers the core performance you need for productivity, while still letting you dabble in gaming without investing in a separate console. So who should press the Add to Cart button? If you're a student or entry-level professional who needs a reliable workhorse, values a touchscreen for presentations, and wants the occasional gaming escape, this laptop checks the boxes. It's also a solid choice for anyone who appreciates the convenience of Wi-Fi 6 and the extra security of a webcam shutter. On the flip side, if you're a dedicated gamer who